ice cavern. It's a very interesting area here. So there's sometimes some of these ice stalagmites. Some of them we can break and some of them we can't. You can see the light blue ones are the ones we could break. And then we're encountering some of this red ice in here as well, too. There's nothing we can do about it. And occasionally some of those icicle stalactites will fall down and do damage to you if they hit you. So it's usually a good strategy to keep moving. Alright. Here's where our extended magic meter is going to come in real handy, as well as our Din's Fire magic power, which we haven't really used up until now. Is we're going to encounter a lot of ice... what's the word I'm looking for? Not themed, but, well, monsters created out of ice, basically. These guys here, Freezard. Watch out for its freezing breath. Destroy it completely before it revives. So I'll show you a little trick here with these guys here. If we can stand right in the middle circle of these three guys and then use our Din's Fire. Melt the heck out of them. Boy, that was satisfying. Those guys normally take 2 hits. And we were well positioned there so that... the Din's Fire Dome kind of lingered right in that area long enough to actually be able to do 2 consistent hits worth of damage. Otherwise, we might only have shrunk them a little bit. But, and I'm kind of already losing my bearings here. Where was that? That was where I came in from. Okay. So we'll come this way. Again, our traction over this ice is really, really slippery. Once we get on the snow-padded areas here, we can run around as normal. Ah! Yeah. See that? You see what I mean there? And then, yeah, these areas here. Yeah, see how, like, I'll just move and then, like, stop moving? My momentum carries me forward a little bit, so... Again, it's a little bit difficult to describe. You kind of just have to experience it to understand. But, okay, so this area here... Obviously, we've got this giant spinning scythe here to contend with. So we'll try to get out of the way here. So that was a possessed jar there, so I try to get quickly out of the way. And use my shield there to block it. But the whole idea behind the puzzle in this area here is this is a new type of puzzle that we're actually going to encounter many times from the game in the game here on out. It's wherever you see these new silver rupees. A silver rupee is actually worth the same as a blue rupee, 5 rupees. But the reason we want to collect them is because they'll always be, whenever we encounter this type of a puzzle, there'll always be 5 of these silver rupees hidden somewhere within an area. And so we have to find all 5 of them in order to get something special to happen. And then don't overlook the gold Skulltula hiding up there. And if you're paying attention too, you might have noticed how every time we collect one of these rupees, the musical tone also increases in pitch a little bit. There we go, there's all 5. So, which way do we want to go here? Well, options are pretty limited. I think that's where we came in. And right now this is, it appears, is the only spot that we can go in, is that gate that we just caused to lift. So, this way we head. Oh, there's another Freezard here. I'll show you, whoa! Yes, see that? It's so hard to... You gotta really kind of plan your movements out in advance here. Here, I was gonna say, I'll hitting them with the sword. Wow, it took actually 3 hits of damage. I guess with Din's Fire, it only takes 2. A little bit stronger, but so you can still kind of keep clacking away at him like that. Oh. Try to avoid those 4 spikes. Okay. Now, in this area here, I think is... Oh, great. Ice keys. Whoa! Bloody Freezard snuck right up on us. And these ice keys are pretty nasty, just like the fire keys. If they dive bomb you and fly into you, they'll cause you to catch fire. These guys will temporarily encase you in a big ice cube, and you'll take gradual damage as you're stuck in the ice, and you'll thaw after a few seconds, but not before taking a number of hits. Oh, you hit me literally a millisecond before I could use Din's fire. Oh, and just before that ice keys got me. Suck fire, bat. Whew, more arrows. Thank you. And I will grab a couple of these hearts here that I needed. Hop across this way, and this is something very, very interesting. This blue fire. It doesn't seem natural. Maybe you can use it for something. We've actually seen blue fire being sold before in shops, but you might recall it was an exorbitant price, 300 rupees for a single bottle of it. And now here we have essentially a limitless supply. So this is actually what we're going to want to empty out our bottles for. And it's a good thing that we've managed to find all 4. Because even though, technically speaking, you only need a single bottle to carry blue fire in, it does mean that you're going to have to do a lot of backtracking to these areas where we'll be able to find blue fire. Every single time you need to restock your bottles. So, I mean, to call that tedious doesn't quite cover it. I mean, it's about as time-consuming as it possibly gets. So, oh, wait, what the heck? Oh, right, I have to empty the bottle first. I was going to be like, why did I just use my fire? Alright, excellent. Now, let me just get close to this Freezard here. Also, don't get too close, because if you actually make contact with them, they'll freeze you also again. So try to keep your distance here. So I'll show you just on this here. If you just approach the red ice and then use one of your bottles with blue fire, this is basically how it works. You want to make sure that you're standing close enough that the blue fire actually makes contact with the ice. Look at that. Purple rupee. I'm not going to bother jumping down because I don't want to have to come all the way back up. And our wallet is full anyway, so it's not like I really need it. But also, I want to point this out. Wait until the blue fire actually completely melts the red ice. Because it is possible if you, like, fool around with your buttons and use a C button item or something else, or swing your sword, or do something else, if you can kind of mess with the game a little bit. And it's sort of like there's, like, oh, too much going on all at once. It doesn't really know how to do it. So it can actually stop the effect of the blue fire from melting the red ice. It'll actually melt only, like, half as much. And then you'll need to empty another bottle of blue fire in order to melt the rest of it. And if you don't have any more blue fire, it's going to be a pain in the ass having to backtrack again just to recorrect for that mistake. So that is my recommendation. Whenever you're using blue fire, just sit patiently for just a moment or two and wait for it to fully do its work before doing anything else. Alright, so there is our dungeon map. So you can see, even though this is classified as a mini dungeon, it's only the single floor with a few rooms in it. It does still follow some of the dungeon basics, though. There is a dungeon map, so it follows that there will also be a dungeon compass as well, and probably a special dungeon item hidden somewhere in it as well. No keys, though, at least not in this one. Again, not to spoil it, but there will be a another mini dungeon later on. And that will have keys. Though even then, though, only small keys. There still won't be a boss key. Again, because there's no boss in the mini dungeons. So the mini dungeons are basically distinguished not only by their size, obviously, as the name mini dungeon implies, but also due to the lack of a major boss. Whoa. Man, those floor traps are so hard to avoid sometimes. But anyway, so we filled up all our jars, right? Yeah, all our bottles. Alright. So, we want to come back into this area here with our blue fire, and now we're able to actually enter into an area, but we don't have a compass yet, so I can't even really tell where we're facing. So, whoa. I thought maybe if I, with my shield, if I duck low enough, I could duck underneath that blade. No. I think sometimes, at some points in the game, you can avoid those types of hazards, but nothing doing there. Alright, let's try our hand at this area here. Where are we heading? Oh, okay, so we're going up to the top left. Alright, that's fine. No matter. It doesn't really matter which direction we go in. Again, there's no, like, real end to the dungeon, right? Like I said, there's no boss, so... Alright, some more ice keys flying around here. We haven't really got Navi to point anything out there. Ice keys destroyed before it flies into you. I think it's, like, basically the description as the fire keys. It doesn't really distinguish between them as far as the description goes, but... Alright, and we'll take out with arrows these other ones before they can even get close to us. Okay. Now, the puzzle in this room isn't overly complicated. It can just kind of seem that way if you let it frustrate you easily. First of all, before we even move on any further, before I forget about it, I'm going to grab this gold Skulltula up on the wall here. Okay, so the idea, it's one of these puzzles where we have to get the 5 silver rupees. So there's one of them, an easy one right there. Even right here, though, I don't think that we can climb on top. If we climb on top of this block, I think we might be able to jump to there. Alright. The rest of them are going to require a little bit more work. So the idea of the puzzle in this game is that that block right there, that raised column, we can actually push that. Now, normally, you would think, oh, not a problem. Just like every other block that we've been pushing around for those kinds of puzzles in the game so far, we'll just push the block to the edges of those walls and then use that as a stepping block to get up into the spots where we want to go. But the gimmick for this particular room of the dungeon is that because it's a big block of ice sitting on a giant floor of ice, is that when we push it in a particular direction, it continues to slide in that direction and does not stop until it either hits an obstruction, such as one of these pillars, or falls off into that bottomless pit of an abyss around some of the edges and in the corners of the room. I should have probably pointed that out earlier. Yeah, those are bottomless pits. Don't fall into them. Not like it's going to be an instantaneous game over or whatever. You'll respawn, obviously, but you'll take damage. So, yeah, so obviously, like other blocks, say, if you push into the block, right, you can climb on top of it. But if you don't push into it continuously, if you just get up close to it, then you can grab and then push. So I'll push forward here. Show you here. See? It slides all the way forward. Now we can climb on top of here and grab this rupee. Oh. Oh. Kind of annoying. Sometimes you need a little bit more of a running room in order to clear that jump without, you know, doing one of those grabbing onto the ledge and trying to pull yourself back up things. Alright, now that we're here, we'll grab this rupee. And what we can also do is this here. Now see here, there's a blue fire section here and some rupees here. I'll just point it out, even though I don't really need to, but if you are so inclined, what you can do in this area, if you're really hurting for rupees, is you can play the Song of Time. And voila! Time blocks up here. And we can't, I don't think I can jump to them from here. Maybe I can. Maybe I can. Oh, just barely. Alright. So we can grab the rupees here, and then jump down this way and fill up our bottles. This isn't the only way to get to this area. We can also push that sliding block to just underneath the ledge. But while we're here, we may as well fill up that bottle. And, again, carefully around the edge so that we don't fall into the abyss. Push our block this way. And then push them this way. And now, this is eventually the way we're going to want to push him, the block this way. And that will give us access to the gate area, which is our way out of here. But for the time being, we can't, you know, we still need to get that last silver rupee. So we don't really have any other options at this point. We have to get rid of the block. We've got to push it this way and then either left or right in order to get it out of the way. And then once we've pushed it out of there, the block pops back up where it started. So basically we got to think here, what's the best way to do this? We want the block to be stopped when we're pushing it by this pillar, which means... Hang on here, I'm losing my orientation. Or do we? Well, I was going to say that we would need it to be pushed from here, but that doesn't make sense because there's nothing to stop it from there. So I think it might even just be as simple as just pushing it this way one time. And then pushing it this way. Yeah, it was literally that simple. I seem to recall that's one of the kind of tricks about the puzzle in this room, is that it can actually seem more complicated than it actually is, and you can waste a lot of time pushing the block around and experimenting, trying all kinds of different things and getting really, really frustrated, but it's really not that big of a deal. Okay, so there was our last rupee. Push this block out of the way and get it to respawn. And I don't think I'm gonna... No, if I push it that way, and then this way, and then that way, no, we won't be able to... There's all, like I was saying, there's all kinds of different ways that you can, you know, push it into pillars this way and that way and get the block to end up this way and that way, but in order to get to these specific alcoves, you can't really afford to get it like generally close to where it's got to end up. It pretty much has to be lined up perfectly. So that's why it's pretty much got to be this way. This is the only solution. When I just show you the solution like that outright, it makes it seem like super easy. But you might be surprised if you've ever attempted that puzzle yourself for the first time without anybody explaining it to you first. Alright, right here we'll drop a blue fire right in the middle and try to take out all three of these red ice blocks all at once if we're lucky. It does get a fair amount of spread on it. There we go. Alright, excellent. Okie doke. Whoa. White Wolfos. Lure it close to you and watch its movements carefully. Attack it when it drops its guard. So it's actually exactly the same as a regular Wolfos. The fact that it's white isn't like anything special. Alright. Dungeon item time. Ooh, you got the iron boots. So heavy you can't run, so heavy you can't float. Interesting. Oh. Where'd she come from? We meet again, Jordan. If you came here to meet the Zoras, you wasted your time. This is all there is. With one exception, the Zoras are now sealed under this thick ice sheet. I was wondering about that too, where all the Zoras even seem to disappear from. I managed to rescue the Zora princess from under the ice, but she left to head for the water temple. So that's our next dungeon. This ice is created by an evil curse. The monster in the water temple is the source of the curse. Unless you shut off the source, this ice will never melt. If you have courage enough to confront the danger and save the Zoras, I will teach you the melody that leads to the temple. Time passes, people move. Like a river's flow, it never ends. A childish mind will turn to noble ambition. Young love will become deep affection. The clear water's surface reflects growth. Now listen to the Serenade of Water to reflect upon yourself. I might be mistaken, but I think this is the shortest song in the game. Only 5 notes. I don't think there's anything shorter. So you really have no excuse for not remembering this one. Ooh. Trippy. You have learned the Serenade of Water. Jordan, I'll see you again. Oh, I'm sure you will. Why does he always do that? Alright. So now we don't have to go this way. We could just backtrack the way we came. But I will show you this. Try out our new iron boots. Equip them. And check this out. So we can't run. We can only walk real slow. And we have seriously reduced maneuverability. This is about the tightest that I can turn. Unless I stop moving and then just change my direction. You can roll. But not very far, though. Because, again, you can't get the momentum. Though I think you're still somehow strong enough to do these quick side jumps and backflips. But, so this will help for the areas where the floor is really slippery and you need increased traction. This will definitely keep your feet from under you. But this is the real reason to use the iron boots, is so that you can sink in water. Check this out. Hidden door. We'd be able to dive this. Oh, you can't breathe underwater if you start choking. Take off those boots. So look at that. It gives us just under 2 minutes before we drown. I'm not going to take 2 minutes, but I'll just show. So, like, this is, it's not particularly a very deep pool of water. We would have been able to dive this far, especially now that we've got the golden scale. But we wouldn't have been able to have opened this door down here. You have to be standing upright on the floor proper in order to open the door. So that's where our friends, the iron boots, are going to come into play. Look at that. And now the meter dissipates instantly now that we've gone above the surface level. So we'll switch back to our boots, our regular Kokiri boots again. Oh, dang it all. Stupid. Okay. And see, now I keep losing my orientation here. I think this is the way back into the rest of the dungeon. Technically, the main reason we wanted to come in here is specifically to get the iron boots. So now that we've got them, we could just leave if we really wanted to. But there are still a couple more things that we want to do while we're in here. You can see here, we haven't come this way before. So we will burn this way. Whoa, that was close. Oh, that was painful. Let's see here. I just want to take out these items here to help us here. So there's some keys here just kind of chilling, so we don't even have to waste our arrows on them. We can just take them out with our hook shot. And our last bottle of blue fire. We can open up this last big chest. And it will be our dungeon compass, which is somewhat redundant now because this was the last room that we had to explore in the dungeon, I'm pretty sure. So if I had remembered, I probably would have come this way first. But, we can stock up all our bottles on this other blue fire location. Obviously, it goes without saying that there's only so many of these spots where blue fire is available to you, so you want to take advantage of it while you can. Okay. And I hear the telltale sign of a gold Skulltula. So this is the real reason we wanted to come this way, is grab that last token, and of course grab this heart piece encased in red ice as well. Alright, let's consult our map here. So you see we've got all the gold Skulltulas, and according to our compass, all treasure chests in the dungeon have now been emptied. Alright, so at this point, if we wanted to, we could just exit the dungeon, play the Serenade of Water, and that will warp us straight to the location of the water temple. However, there's maybe a couple other things we want to do before that. So let's make our way all the way to the dungeon entrance first. And, oops. Should have consulted my, my compass. This isn't the way we want to go at all. I should have just been paying attention to my mini-map. Now that we've got the compass, it shows actually where we're facing in the rooms. See, don't underestimate the usefulness of the compass. I know it wasn't really that much of an inconvenience, but still. Also, yeah, you're going to want to make sure that you've got some blue fire that you're bringing out with you. I would say at least 2 bottles of it.